think you all are making some good points. What advice would you give? Because we're really talking about the value of black men, but we're going into the value of family, the value of women, how they can support men. What advice would you all give to young men who are at that age where they are coming into manhood? You know what I'm saying? To qualify themselves or to actualize more of their value. What would you tell them? If you can give one thing, what should they focus on first?
Man, I would say one word: cultivate. Cultivate your skills, cultivate, find out what your gift is, find out what it is that you do well, and cultivate that talent. Learn skills, learn how to produce. That's what I would say. Because it's all connected to what we're talking about. I mean, you're only as good as what you can offer as far as value is concerned. So you have to put yourself in a position to where you can cultivate within yourself things of value. But it has to be, and value is relative, because I mean, a person that can garden in who's in agricultural industry, he's of more value than a person that may know how to code and develop software somewhere else. So you have to make your value relevant to where, what type of environment you're in. So that takes some foresight, thinking ahead, like, okay, I see where the world is going. I need to cultivate this type of a talent. And I got to think, okay, is this talent going to be relevant? Is this skill going to be relevant? 5 years, 10 years, 15 years down the line. So I would say cultivate is the number one thing. Cultivate so that you can start to produce.
I recently told my son, he's 9, so I mean, he's pretty young, but he was a little disappointed in a young lady at his school who he liked, but she didn't necessarily, or maybe she voiced that she didn't necessarily like him or something like that. So he was a little disappointed in that. And I talked to him, but what I told him was, I told him, well, what I would do if I was you. I told him I would work on these 5 areas that we talked about before, and I told him that that if you begin to cultivate these 5 things here, you don't necessarily have to ever chase a woman. Or you shouldn't have to ever chase a woman. Or in other words, you may find a lot of women actually chasing you. But I told him that number one, he should. I told him that he should have a connection with God. That's the first thing I told him. Have a strong connection with God. I said, you're 9 years old, start praying for certain things. I said, look out in the world, think about all the things that you see that's wrong, and start to pray that God would fix those things or bless you to be the one that helped fix those things. I said, and let that begin your relationship with God. Like, start looking out in the world. Any problem you see, know that God could bless you to be the one to fix it, or ask God to fix it. Ask God to fix it. and so that was the first thing. Then I told him, I said, then after that, you want to start equipping yourself to be able to solve these issues that you see. So I told him, continue to read every day. And this is something that he already does a lot. He's 9, but we'll bring home 6, 7 books from the library. Within 2-3 days, he's done reading all of them. So he's very advanced for his age. But I told him, read something every single day. But I told him to kind of come out of that stage of reading about, whatever kids read about Spider-Man and all of that type of stuff, Harry Potter and all of that. Start reading about things that are happening in the world. You may find interest in some things, but just kind of like start off with something that already interests you. Like, he's already interested in like alternative energy. So just start reading small books on that. But then I went down the line, reading, working out every day. And I told him why. I said, listen, man, if you're in the classroom